What if Claude Code could run your deployment pipeline, write your changelog, and review pull requests, all because you taught it those skills in 10 minutes? Most developers treat Claude Code like a chatbot. They type ad hoc requests, get decent results, and move on. But there is a whole layer of power most people never touch: custom skills and subagents. Today I'm going to show you how to build reusable commands that live in your repo, travel with your team, and turn Claude Code from a smart assistant into a programmable engineering platform. No plugins, no API wrappers, just markdown files and a few clever patterns. Let's get into it. Let's start with the foundation, /commands. In Claude Code, a /command is simply a markdown file that lives in a specific directory. When you place a file called review.md.cart inside .claude/command/, it becomes a /command. It becomes a /command you can invoke by typing /review. That is the entire setup. There is no plugin system to install, no configuration file to edit, no package to download. You write instructions in plain English inside a markdown file, and Claude Code treats those instructions as a prompt template. The key thing to understand is that these commands run with Claude's full tool access. The command can read files, run terminal commands, search the web, everything Claude can normally do. You are just giving it a structured starting point instead of typing instructions from scratch every time. Let me walk you through building your first skill. We are going to create a code review command. Create a file at .claudecommands/review.md. Inside you write plain English instructions describing exactly what you want Claude to check. In this example, we tell it to review the current Git diff against 5 specific criteria: security issues like SQL injection and XSS, proper error handling with no swallowed exceptions, test coverage for new public methods, performance concerns like N+1 queries, and finally output everything as a summary table. The last line says, be concise, use bullet points, skip praise, that is important. Without that guardrail, Claude will spend half its response telling you how great your code is before getting to the actual findings. Save the file, open Claude Code, type /review, and it runs. One file, zero configuration. Your first custom skill is live. Now, here is where it gets interesting for teams. There are 2 places you can put command files, and the distinction matters. Personal commands live in your home directory at /commands/. These are your private shortcuts. They follow you across every project on your machine. Maybe you have a personal commit message style or a review checklist tuned to your preferences. These never get checked into Git. Team commands live in the repository itself at .claude/commands/. When you commit these files, every developer who clones the repo gets the same set of skills. They are version controlled, PR reviewable, and consistent across the entire team. My strong recommendation: put team commands in the repo. Treat your prompt files like code. Review them in pull requests. Iterate on them as your standards evolve. So far, our review command checks the entire Git diff. But what if you want to point it at a specific directory? That is where the arguments pattern comes in, and it is one of the most powerful features of custom skills. When you include arguments anywhere in your markdown file, Claude Code replaces it with whatever the user types after the command name. So if your review.md says, review the code in _, error against our standards, and the user types review src, then _, error becomes 66000. Look at the terminal output here. It scanned 3 files in the outer directory and found 2 security issues in the login module, 1 session management problem, and gave OAuth a clean bill of health, all from a single command with a single argument. This turns a static prompt into a flexible, reusable tool. You write one skill, use it everywhere. Now let's level up. /commands are powerful, but they run sequentially. When you need to review a large code base or perform complex multi-step analysis, sequential execution gets slow. Enter subagents. A subagent is a separate Claude instance that the main agent spawns to handle a focused task. Think of it like a senior developer delegating work. The parent agent decides what needs doing, creates child agents with specific instructions, and each child works independently with its own isolated context. The key benefits are isolation, focus, and parallelism. Each subagent has its own conversation context, so it will not get confused by unrelated information. And multiple subagents can run simultaneously, which means a task that would take 10 minutes sequentially might finish in 3 minutes with parallel agents. The results bubble back up to the parent, which synthesizes the final answer. Let me show you what this looks like in practice. You ask Claude Code to review all modules for security issues. Instead of reading 18 files one by one, Claude spawns 3 subagents. Agent 1 takes the auth directory, 4 files. Agent 2 handles payments, 6 files. Agent 3 covers the API layer, 8 files. They all run in parallel. Agent 1 finishes first with 2 findings. Agent 3 comes back next with 1 finding. Agent 2 wraps up last with 3 findings. The parent agent collects all 6 findings, deduplicates them, sorts by severity, and gives you a single consolidated report. The total wall clock time is roughly the time of the slowest agent, not the sum of all 3. For large code bases, this is a massive speedup, and the code to trigger it is just a well-written prompt. Here is where everything comes together. When you combine a custom skill with sub-agent instructions, you get something genuinely powerful. Look at this full review.md command. Line by line, it tells Claude to use sub-agents to review each module in parallel, have each agent check security, performance, and tests, consolidate everything into a single markdown report, assign a risk score from 1 to 10 per module, and generate a PR comment summary at the end. The skill defines the what to check, how to format the output, what matters. The subagents handle the how, parallel execution across modules, and RE governance makes it reusable, pointed at any directory, any PR, any proj. Type /full review SRCs, and you get a comprehensive, parallelized, formatted security and quality audit. This is not a chatbot anymore. This is an engineering tool you designed yourself. Let's build something real, a deployment skill called /ship. This is the kind of command that saves your team hours every week. The ship.md file defines a 7-step deployment pipeline. First, run the test suite and abort if anything fails. Second, run the linter and abort on errors. Third, bump the patch version in package.json. Fourth, generate a changelog from recent commits. Fifth, create a git tag with the new version. Sixth, push the tag and trigger the deploy workflow. Seventh, post a summary to the Slack deployments channel. The last line is critical. Stop immediately on any failure. No partial deploys. That safety guardrail means Claude will not push a broken build or create a tag for code that does not pass tests. Type ship staging or ship production. 1 command, 7 steps, complete audit trail. Once you have built a few good skills, the natural question is how do you share them? There are several strategies depending on your setup. For personal use, the global commands directory at /claude/commands works across every project on your machine. Great for individual productivity shortcuts. For teams, the simplest approach is a starter kit. Create a template.claude commands/directory and copy it into new repos using whatever scaffolding tool you already use. For organizations that want centralized management, Git submodules work well. Point your .claude/commands/ at a shared repository. Update once and everyone gets the latest skills. And do not forget about slidade.avnapt.not. You can reference your skills in project instructions so Claude uses specific commands by default during certain tasks like PR reviews or deployments. Let me tie this all together with the big picture. You are not just using an AI assistant, you are programming one. Skills turn tribal knowledge, the stuff that lives in people's heads, in outdated wikis, in Slack threads nobody can find, into executable commands anyone on the team can run. Sub-agents turn sequential work into parallel work. What used to take minutes happens in seconds. Together they transform Claude Code from a general-purpose helper into your custom engineering platform, and the investment is minimal. 10 minutes to write a markdown file, infinite reuse across your team, and the library compounds over time as you add more skills. Here is my challenge to you. Create your first custom skill right now. Not tomorrow, not next sprint. Right now. Step 1. Create the file .claude/commands/review.md. Step 2. Write your review checklist in plain English. Step 3. Type review and watch it work. 2 minutes start to finish. Once you see it work, you will immediately think of 5 more skills your team needs. That is exactly what should happen. Like and subscribe if you want more Claude Code deep dives. And drop your best custom skill idea in the comments. I read every single one.